when a moment of peace became a battle for respect. One man's calm courage shattered all expectations and proved that even in the face of hate, the power of dignity can change everything. Under the pale yellow light of a quiet suburban gas station in Atlanta, Michael Johnson, a mechanic with a hand that can fix anything, came to lend a hand. He had just finished a long day of work. His mechanic's clothes were stained with grease, when he saw the old lady struggling with a flat tire. Michael, always willing to assist, didn't hesitate to pull over, give her a warm smile and tell her, "Don't worry, ma'am, I'll take care of this." When he quickly changed her tire, the woman's gratitude flowed, but Michael refused to pay, urging her to simply pay it forward. Just as he was about to leave, the roar of a motorbike shattered the peaceful moment. 3 motorcyclists, leather jackets decorated with scary patches, rolled into the station. The leader, a tall man with a red bandana, immediately targeted Michael with vile remarks, questioning his presence in the area. Michael, calm as ever, responded with measured words, saying, "I'm just filling up the water. There's no problem here." But the motorcyclists did not back down, escalating the situation with taunts and threats. Instead of reacting with anger, Michael's calm demeanor seemed to only fuel their aggression, until, with a steady hand, he reached for the phone, calmly dialing for assistance. What happened next would completely turn the tide and leave motorcyclists stunned. As the motorcyclists circled around Michael, their taunts grew louder, each insult more vicious than the last. One of them, a stocky man with a swinging chain in his hand, stepped forward, trying to threaten him with force. The leader grinned with fake confidence, continuing to belittle Michael, pushing the boundaries with every word. "What is a guy like you doing here?" he smirked. "You don't belong in a place like this." The motorcyclists laughed loudly, clearly believing they had the upper hand. But Michael was undeterred. His eyes remained calm, his posture resilient. Despite the growing tension, he remained still, not falling for their trap. Then, when one of the motorcyclists grabbed him by the collar, Michael's expression remained cold as stone. He calmly adjusted his helmet, his grip only slightly tightened, as if preparing for something. Without a word, he reached into his pocket, his hands steady, and made the call. When he dialed the number, motorists couldn't believe what they were seeing. "Who is he calling?" one of them sneered. "Call 911? Let's see how that helps you," the leader chuckled, dismissing Michael's calm demeanor. But when Michael hung up and put the phone in his pocket, the atmosphere changed. The motorcyclists began to realize that their courage was not enough to threaten this man. Michael did not respond to their taunts. He simply stood up, walked over to the metal chair next to the gas station and sat down, while the cyclists continued to become more agitated. They cannot understand why their insults do not have the desired effect. Michael's stillness, his quiet confidence, only added to their frustration. Then, like a switch being flipped, the sound of a siren cut through the noise. The motorcyclists froze, their previous arrogance gone as the unmistakable roar of police cars grew louder. The leader's smirk disappeared, replaced by insecurity. Michael didn't move. He simply looked up at the motorcyclists, his gaze steady and unflinching, knowing that the balance of power had just shifted. Motorcyclists' confidence was quickly replaced by fear. As the police car screeched to a stop outside the gas station, the atmosphere changed. The sirens were very loud, increasing in intensity, and it was clear that the motorcyclists' ability to control the situation was rapidly losing. Michael remained calm, unfazed by the sirens ringing right outside. His posture is relaxed, but his presence is undeniable. The motorcyclists, however, looked increasingly panicked, their shell of bravado cracking. The commander, still trying to maintain his composure, looked towards his crew, his previous smirk replaced by uncertainty. As soon as the officers stepped out of their vehicles, a group of riders pulled up behind them, their motorbikes glistening in the fading daylight. They wore leather jackets emblazoned with the eagle emblem, the unmistakable mark of the Steel Eagles, one of the most respected and feared motorcycle clubs in the area. The motorcyclists' faces turned pale, Their knees suddenly went weak when they recognized the person who had just rolled to the scene. Michael slowly stood up from the bench, brushing off his jeans with deliberate calm. He walked towards the newcomers, the Steel Eagles, with his head held high. The first officer to approach him was a tall, imposing black man with 3 stars on his uniform. His voice carried an unmistakable authority as he asked, "Is everything okay here, Michael?" Michael nodded, then turned his attention back to the motorcyclists, who were now very frightened. "These gentlemen," Michael said, his voice cutting through the tension, "think they can claim this place as their territory. Looks like they need a reminder that it doesn't work that way." The officer's expression hardened as he told the motorcyclists, "Okay. Put your hands where I can see them. Now identify yourself." The motorcyclists were stumbling over their words, their previous bravery almost gone. The team leader tried to calm himself down, his voice cracking, "This is just a misunderstanding, officer. We don't mean any harm." But it was too late. The Steel Eagle has arrived and the power has completely changed. Michael flipped the script and now the situation is reversed. Motorcyclists are no longer in control, they are the ones who have to face the consequences. With handcuffs on their wrists, the motorcyclists were led into police cars, their pride shattered. As Michael stood tall, observing the unfolding scene, the gathered crowd could not help but stare in amazement. Phone calls, calm and unexpected support came together to create this powerful moment of justice. Michael's actions prove that, sometimes, all you need is the right decision and the courage to stand your ground. As the motorcyclists were led away, heads bowed, Michael returned to his motorbike. His calm demeanor never wavered, his movements deliberate, as if the whole ordeal was just a minor inconvenience. The crowd was now completely silent, continuing to record every moment, their phones still pointed at the scene as Michael adjusted his gloves and threw a leg over his motorbike. His steady gaze was fixed on the motorcyclists as they were pushed into the back of a police car. The leader, who had been acting as if he ruled the place, now sat in the back of the police car with his shoulders slumped, clearly defeated. "Next time you meet someone," Michael called out to the onlookers, his voice carrying a quiet authority, "don't judge them by their appearance. You never know what they are capable of." His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The crowd, still shocked by the turn of events, erupted in applause, with some cheering while others nodded in agreement. Michael's calm tenacity not only shifted the balance of power that day but also made a profound impression on all who witnessed it. Within hours, footage of the confrontation went viral, sparking a national conversation about courage, justice and how stereotypes often shape people's perceptions. As Michael rides off into the sunset, his steady composure remains a symbol of dignity and strength, proving that standing up to injustice can be done with grace, and that sometimes, those who are quietest hold the most power. His story has become a powerful reminder to everyone that justice can be served not by force but by standing firm and being true to oneself. As Michael sped off into the distance, the evening sky dyed orange and purple. The sound of his motorcycle engine gradually receded toward the horizon. The crowd at the gas station stood there for a moment, processing what had just happened. The motorcyclists left, their arrogance replaced by fear and remorse, while police officers began taking statements from witnesses. For those who witnessed the confrontation, it was not just about witnessing a man defending himself from bullies but also about witnessing a moment of justice achieved through calm and unwavering confidence. Michael not only confronts aggression but also breaks down the stereotype of the silent, powerless black man that so often exists in society. As the police car left, the atmosphere at the station began to calm down, but the impact of what had happened still lingered. In the days that followed, the video of Michael fighting off motorcyclists spread like wildfire. Social media platforms, news outlets and even television shows picked up the story, sharing the powerful story of how a simple phone call and strength of character turned the tide in the face of injustice. The story of Michael Henderson is not only an act of self-defense but also a symbol of resistance, of quiet strength in the face of adversity. For many, it was a wake-up call, a reminder that anyone, regardless of background or appearance, can stand up against oppression. Michael's actions remind everyone that standing strong, not being intimidated, and holding on to your values can make a difference, even when the odds seem to be against you. His calm courage became a beacon to those who were once silent, proving that justice does not always need to be shouted, it often speaks in silence. But its impact is undeniable. In the days that followed, Michael's actions garnered more than just local recognition. The video went viral, spreading across the country, becoming a call for justice. People from all walks of life, young and old, black and white, shared his story. For some, it's a reminder of the power of standing up for what's right, even when the world tries to tell you to back down. For others, it was an awakening to the racial tensions that still simmer beneath the surface, exposing the dangerous assumptions some people make about people based on nothing more than their appearance. Michael's story has inspired discussions at the dinner table, at work, and on social media platforms. Many older Americans, who had witnessed their own fight for equal rights in the past, saw in Michael a reflection of their own struggles. They share his story with their children and grandchildren, hoping to pass on the lesson that courage, dignity and calm in the face of hatred can change the course of events. For the younger generation, Michael's example shows that standing up, even in the smallest ways, can challenge injustice and transform communities. It wasn't just a single act of defiance, it became a movement. Meanwhile, the motorcyclists, now publicly exposed for their actions, must face the consequences of their aggressive behavior. Their reputation crumbled as the public rallied around Michael. The group's leader, his smirk replaced by fear, finds himself at the center of legal battles and public outrage. His previous arrogance had evaporated, replaced by an increasingly clear realization of how wrong he had been. For Michael, life returned to normal but with a new sense of purpose. He didn't just help an elderly woman on the side of the road, he also represented something much bigger. And when the dust settled, he knew one thing for sure: he wasn't done yet. As the weeks passed, Michael's quiet strength became a beacon of hope for those who had been silenced by fear or prejudice. People have reached out to him, expressing gratitude for the example he has set. His story sparked something in the hearts of many people, an understanding that even in the face of hatred, one can remain calm and steadfast. Older generations saw in him a familiar courage that mirrored their own fight for civil rights. Meanwhile, young people, inspired by his example, began to challenge assumptions and biases in their own lives. Although Michael won that battle, he knows the fight for justice is far from over. He continues to move through life with the same quiet confidence, knowing that even small acts of defiance, when rooted in dignity, can change the world. It's not just about standing up for yourself anymore. It's about standing up for all those who have been wronged, for all those who have ever felt invisible. Michael is not a hero in the traditional sense, but to those who need him, he is a symbol of hope, a reminder that one man's courage can spark a revolution of kindness and respect.